James, you have an influence. Lorraine just said you're keeping the door. Everybody's going to know.
You know what that means, don't you?
And they couldn't even see you.
Stop your conversation, right?
That means we were talking about you.
Right?
That's what it means. Yeah.
Yeah. No, doing well. I would say, probably like very happy. Probably just a little bit, right? But I think we're taking all the opportunities to probably, I'm making assumptions. You're probably 70% industrial. Most of the rest is then we'll do retail for like kind of mom and pop type shops, but we don't have the connection with the corporations or the national tenants. So, and it's really not something I want to get too dive into.
Yeah.
Industrial is definitely what I know. But office is, you know, other than my connections are mostly industrial. There's definitely some it's not hard to get an office.
Right.
It's the same thing as industrial. It's four walls and road, but instead you get offices and private and spatial needs, right? So.
Well, I think, you know, typical with a figure and so I've been back in Western Europe.
Okay.
I was at Corbin Associates and here's the practice, but it's really all multi-family.
Yes.
And unless I, you know, have to grab the door, which I did plenty of times.
Been there.
You need the one that support lines and stuff for private, for private. So it's better than that.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. Probably have.
Good evening. Welcome to the Village Board and Plan Commission joint meeting. Today is Wednesday, January 13th. I will call the Village Board and Plan Commission to order with the Pledge of Allegiance, and we have a standing moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Roll call and open meeting law compliance check.
President Carl Fortner,
Present.
Trustee Jim Swanee,
Present.
Trustee Gary Wildy,
Present.
Trustee Fred Mahalik, Trustee Lorene Dashick.
Present.
Mr. President, note for record, you have a quorum of your village board and the Plan Commission, President Carl Fortner,
Present.
Trustee Commissioner Jim Swanee,
Present.
Trustee Commissioner Fred Mahalik, Commissioner Dan Noack,
Present.
Commissioner Jamie Sleesman.
Here.
Mr. President, note for record, you do also have a quorum of your Plan Commission, and also note for record that Orrin Sumwald, the village planner, is here also. Oh, excuse me, Mr. President, the agenda was posted inside and outside of the Vernon Town Hall to the media, to other businesses in the Village of Vernon and the Village of Vernon website. You're in full compliance with the open meetings law.
Thank you. With that, I will read the public notice. Notice is hereby given that a public hearing by the Vernon Village Board and Plan Commission on Wednesday, January 13, 2021 at 7 p.m. at the Village of Vernon Village Hall located at W249S 8910 Center Drive to take comments on an application applied for by Doug Anderson, Hydro Excavators 2, LLC, 8850 Crawfordsville Road, Indianapolis, Indiana, for a conditional use permit in accordance with the Village of Vernon zoning ordinance for a contractor's yard in order to accommodate a business that stores equipment on property currently owned by John Fisher, located at S74W24255 National Avenue, and it's as described in the agenda. So with that, I will open the public hearing, and the way we conduct our public hearings is first we hear from our village planner for an overview of the request. Then we invite the petitioners to come up and present their proposal and how their particular proposal meets our conditional use ordinances. And then we open it up to the public. I don't see any public members here right now, but I do think we have some written comments to read into the record. And if the public has questions, we usually hold questions, and then we give the petitioners a chance to answer those questions. And of course, board members can ask questions, planner can ask questions, and we take it from there as we kind of go through the public hearing. So we'll start. Well, our regular planner, Sean Malarkey, is not here today, but his colleague, Orrin Sumwalt, is. And welcome, Orrin, and you can kick us off, please.
Thank you. Happy to be here. I'll start with the overview of the application. The petitioner is requesting conditional use and site plan / plan of operation approval to operate a contractor's business, including a new approximately 25,000 square foot building and associated contractor's yard. The business provides hydro excavation services to municipalities, utilities, and contractors. That includes injecting highly pressurized water into the target area, followed by extraction of the soil and other objects with a customized industrial strength vacuum. The vacuum transports the debris into a truck-mounted tank for safe transport to a designated disposal site. The proposed use will include an office and shop / warehouse for equipment on site. Vehicles and equipment will primarily be stored indoors when not in use at work sites, but may be intermittently outdoors within the fenced yard area during the day for staging, getting ready to go to jobs, and so forth. A contractor's yard is a permitted conditional use in the I-1 district for the village and M1 zoning district, county shoreline and floodplain protection ordinance. The property was previously developed and used by the National Golf Center, but was rezoned in 2015 after purchase by American Friction Welding for industrial use. That project never came to fruition, and the property has remained unoccupied. In 2019, the Vernon Plan Commission and Board approved a site plan / plan of operation for a veterinary clinic / dog daycare to operate on the site, but the petitioner never moved forward with that particular project. The operation will use the existing access point to the public road stubway within the village-owned outlot directly to the west of the subject property. This road stub connects directly to National Ave, County Trunk Highway ES, and includes intersection improvements such as an XL / G-cell and bypass lanes on National Avenue. The stub was improved to town road standards at the time the National Golf Center project was developed and is intended to eventually be extended to access the property further south. That is not part of this application at this time. I'm just going to try to do a brief overview of the planner comments. The property, again, is I-1 Limited Industrial District, and the proposed site plan meets the requirements of the zoning district. Only a very small corner of the proposed contractor's yard, the northeast corner, is within the shoreland and floodplain zoning jurisdiction. Waukesha County staff has provided correspondence to FOTH stating that due to a minimal portion of the operation within that jurisdiction, a shoreline conditional use permit would not be required. So if you look at your overall site plan, you can see the demarcation of where that shoreland is, and then the proposed development layout. There's a small amount of fence that goes through that shoreline area, and that's it. Otherwise, there's nothing going on in that corner of the site. The plan of operation Hydro Excavators 2 LLC will operate on the property, again, providing hydro excavating services. On-site uses will include an office and a shop/warehouse space, storage of vehicles, equipment, and materials related to their particular business. No disposal of debris from the hydro excavation or hydrovac trucks will be permitted on site. A maximum of 25 employees are permitted. Company vehicles and equipment are to be kept within the enclosed contractor's yard or within a building. That could include 12 large hydrovac trucks, 3 one-ton trucks, 4 pickup trucks, and 4 small equipment trailers. No materials may be stored outdoors except corrugated pipe on racking on the south side of the building within the fenced yard. Hours of operation will be 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. Monday through Saturday, with some possible additional hours in case of emergencies. Number 3 is the specific conditional use considerations for a contractor's yard. In the I-1 district, there needs to be a minimum lot area of at least 3 acres. This property is 16.71 acres. All buildings used to conduct this type of business shall be set back at least 100 feet, and the proposed building is meeting that requirement. No such use shall be allowed unless it fronts directly upon an arterial or major collector street. This property does, onto National Avenue, County Trunk Highway ES. Even though it does have that access through the outlot, it has that frontage requirement. The petitioner is proposing an 8-foot chain link fence. This will be vinyl coated surrounding the entire contractor yard and have an automatic gate. No privacy slats are being proposed. There is significant existing vegetation along the south and east property lines. The proposed landscape plan shows some additional existing vegetation and the addition of groupings of evergreen trees to fill the vegetative gaps surrounding the operation. Particular attention should be given to ensure proper screening of the property to the west, which is residential. There's existing vegetation along the north half of the eastern edge of the residential property to the west, and some existing landscaping on the subject property near the property line just south of that. There are 7 proposed evergreen trees to fill in the gap between the 2 properties. In addition, the I-1 zoning requires the use to be screened from the property to the west by a planting screen at least 6 feet in height and 15 feet in width. So the Plan Commission should determine if the proposed landscape plan meets the requirements of the ordinance. Item E basically states that the village board is going to need to make a determination that the proposed conditional use is compatible with adjacent land uses. And we can touch on that if there's any question as to the land uses which were listed earlier in the report of adjacent properties. Number 4, general conditional use considerations. I'm sure you all know these by heart, are familiar with them. Those need to be abided by per usual. Primary structure architecture. The elevations facing National Avenue include a combination of burnished face masonry, horizontal concealed fastener metal panels, vertical exposed fastener metal panels, and glass/aluminum windows and doors. And I'm sure the architect can touch more on that as they have a representative here this evening. 50% of finished materials do not wrap around the west elevation for at least 25 feet. Otherwise, they're meeting the requirements there for the percentage of finished materials. The vertical metal siding comprises about 53% of the total northwest and east visible elevations, which is something to note under item B there. The proposed plans show a future 70 by 130 foot building, which would be on the east end of the property. That's not being proposed at this time, and at such time as it is proposed, that would require a site plan and plan of operation amendment, including Plan Commission and Board approval. Parking, there will be 25 employees, and the site plans indicating 20 parking spaces with 4 possible future spaces. The petitioner has stated that office employees and some field employees will park in the lot with overflow parking in the fenced yard for field employees. No regular visitor traffic is anticipated. and the Plan Commission should determine if the parking provided is adequate. The existing parking and drives will all be paved with asphalt, including a 10-foot concrete apron around the front of the overhead doors. The impermeable surface meets the village requirement. It is approximately 16%, which is under the 65% requirement. Loading docks, the proposed building includes overhead doors facing east and west within the fenced yard, and existing vegetation and proposed landscape surrounding the yard provide screening. Letter of credit, this requirement has been limited to work within the right-of-way in previous approvals and will likely not be required unless there's fire or DPW considerations for that access within the outlet. If they're needing any improvements, then that's when that would be triggered. Exterior lighting, the petitioner has provided a photometric plan for the proposed site. One fixture and building wall lighting, which includes 8 fixtures. Lighting plan indicates 0-foot candles near the west property line and between 0.5 and 2.3-foot candles at the north edge of the parking, about 30 feet from National Avenue right-of-way. The petitioner has provided lighting fixture specifications showing all downward-facing / cutoff LED lighting, which we like to see, and the Plan Commission should determine if any additional information regarding the photometric plan is required. Petitioner should work with Waukesha County for stormwater approval, including maintenance agreements and any required maintenance / management easements. The golf facility did have a stormwater pond, and my understanding is the developer will be proposing a new pond a little bit further east of that, which will be a good thing. There may have been some issues with the old pond with the previous development. The village DPW and the village DPW director and fire chief should provide direction as to whether the stub road is adequate in its current configuration and whether improvements are required as part of the proposed development that may have already taken place.
Letter that will enter into the record.
Okay,
Orin?
great. And then we have the conditional use decision worksheet, everybody's favorite end cap to these conditional use permits. I'll just end with the engineering comments. No concerns regarding the grading plan, and National Ave has those improvements that we previously mentioned, so it can accommodate this development. You have a recommendation from FOF. There's a draft motion and no less than 14 conditions.
Questions for Warren off the bat by Plan Commission and or board? Otherwise, we'll ask the petitioners, the representatives to come up and please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, and thanks for meeting with us. My name is Chris Johns. My business address is 333 East Chicago Street, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 53202. I'm here representing Epstein Yoon Architects as the architect on the project.
And my name is Adam Voss. I'm here representing Hydrex 62. Our current business address in the area is 16205 West Rogers Drive in New Berlin.
Thank you. You just heard our planner give an overview of your project, and you've got a copy of his report and a list of his recommended conditions. Did you find his report accurate and complete, or do you have, if you have any issues with it, please make sure you mention it.
I do not have any comments about his report. It's very accurate and thorough.
Okay, thank you. If you would proceed with your presentation, and then we'll hold our questions, and when you're done, we'll have questions, I'm sure.
Okay. Is there do you have it on screen? Yeah, the rendering of the site plan. It's fine if you don't. Everyone has it in front of them as well. Essentially, the project is moving forward it's taking the 16.7 acre site and reducing the overall development of new construction to be roughly 11% impervious construction area. So it's not a huge area of development. It's a smaller development. It's 25,000 square foot building. It has about 5,000 square foot of office space in it. The office build out includes train area, work, office, private offices, and a break area. The materials in the building is going to be a steel frame building. It's not a wood frame structure. Has a masonry base for durability, and it has commercial grade products and windows. I think it's a nice addition to the community. Of course I do. But you know, the project and the development is well conceived, and Doug and Adam have been great clients, great communicators of what their needs are. I'd be happy to take any questions I would have brought board with me. Do you have any questions you care to have?
Yes.
Involved in your operation, seeing how you're starting at 5 a.m.?
Aside from truck noise, you know, the standard semi-truck noise that you would hear, but that'll be limited to the trucks starting in the morning and leaving the site. So other than that, no.
Unfortunately, we have to study the plans and so on because we're not allowed to see these ahead of your presentation. So, so unfortunately, I'm flipping through them for the first time, as is everyone else. And
Okay, well, then maybe, hearing that, I'll kind of walk through some of it, if you want to start with the site plan.
yeah, if you could walk us through it, that'd be helpful because we're flipping through it ourselves.
The access point into the parking lot is the same location, if you're familiar with the current plan. It is the same location as the golf center has their access drive to the parking lot. And pardon? Yeah, the building that's there on site. And in fact, the front edge of our proposed parking lot is, in fact, the front edge of the existing parking lot that's there today. So if you want to know how far it is from National Avenue, it's a very good reference point. It's exactly the same. The building is, of course, closer to the street than the current facility. Our parking lot is a little bit smaller, so we pushed it forward closer to the road. We have a bigger development in the depth of it. Essentially, the existing the new proposed building would be pretty much at the edge, the south edge of the current parking lot, if you want to get a sense of how it would be sited. Unfortunately, we're going to lose the mini golf course. I tried to talk Doug into doing something different.
For employee morale.
I thought it'd be an employee perk, is actually how I saw it, but he didn't agree with me, so I moved on. So going forward, and from there, from the parking lot, we have a ring road that helps us with helps with access. It also has a fire protection level 2, where you can have full firefighting access around the building. We are aware of the screening requirements. Currently, on the site plan, you can see that I'm looking at the screen over there. There's an existing 2-car garage size structure that is there that I think they use for the lawn mowing, storage, and so forth. That will currently remain as is, but Doug still, you guys aren't sure if you're going to keep it or not. That may be raised at the end of the day. It's still in flux. And then, so screening to the adjacent properties is a concern, but I point these existing landmarks out so that you can familiarize yourself with when you look at this.
Are you going to tear up the existing parking lot there and
It's all, yeah, it's all gonna be new parking. The parking lot is past its prime, it's past its maintenance.
I figured.
We will be having a new well, a new septic field and so forth will be installed with the development as well.
And you're putting in new or different or additional stormwater? You go through.
Yeah, the
through that?
stormwater pond, we are using the same civil engineer as did the American Friction Welding, SEH, it's the same engineer, in fact, the same designer. He didn't fully drill down with me what the issue was with the existing stormwater management pond, but his recommendation was to follow the same previously approved, the DNR, Waukesha County DNR pond that is to the east, which you can see on the drawings there. On site there, it's right where Karen just moved the cursor, and that'll more than likely be a wet pond from the way things are going, well, depending on rainfall. So yeah, that is a new structure. So we will have a CSM modification based on that because of the easement that has to be recorded on top of the property. But
Where's the environmental corridor that was mentioned by
You
our
can-
planner?
you can see it clipping that radius. No, higher up. It's in the top. If you go to the fence, the northwest east corner of the fence,
That dark green color.
the tree line, there's a little spot where we overhang it by about 4 or 5 feet. It's pretty minor. Oh, there we go. It doesn't work on the screen. Yeah, right about a little bit over to screen right. Our chain link fence overextends it. Yeah. Oh, no, on the other end of the upper corner. Yeah, right there. Yep. No, that's fine.
Right there, that's what I thought it was, but okay.
Yeah, that's the setback for that. You know, if it becomes an issue, we could amend the fence line. It just, yeah.
Yeah, it is a tiny little thing.
The engineering, the civil drawings are a little bit more intense, you know, as far as detail goes. That would probably be fun of that, but if you want, we can go through the elevations if we want. That should be in the packet, yeah. Separate, yeah, it should be in front of that. Yeah, in front of the site plan. There you go, yeah. It's a separate parcel. It's a separate parcel. The future building? If I knew, I'd be buying a lottery ticket. No, we don't have any plans for that right now. It's not scheduled. The building we're doing here today has plenty of growth into it. So it'll be, we wanted to plan ahead for it when we did our site planning. So that's how we arrived at that location and size. So we don't have, there's not a projection.
It may never come to fruition at all.
It could also never happen, right? You know, so, but hopefully.
It's a good thing if we need it, yes.
That's a good problem.
Well, part of the question there is, you don't have any intention to try to subdivide this parcel. There's no, the way it's configured, I don't know how you could possibly do it, except to expand your operations at this point.
To subdivide the parcel.
Yeah, and sell off half the parcel or something.
Well, we have looked at an opportunity to add another access point off of National Avenue, although we didn't engage, you know, county DOT on it. There is 500 foot distances between entrance drives on that side of the road, but that was the extent of our look into it.
shall we talk about landscaping? And whether that's adequate or not, I know we like to see, we don't necessarily like to look at fences. We understand the need for fences, of course, and particularly with this type of equipment. But I think, Orin, you did go through some of the landscaping, but you did all,
It should be in front of that.
You
Ken.
did
It should
say-
be in the civil package, if you go to the front. Actually, that was the landscape plan you were on before. Yeah, if you want to zoom in a little bit, that would be. Yeah, that's the landscape plan.
Trees that are there now, do you have to take any of that down, or?
I think some of it will be lost. So, but none of them that are screening in the corner, close to like the dumpster enclosure where the golf range was.
Oh, okay.
Any of that will remain because we're not expanding our parking lot to the east along National. And also on the southern portion, a lot of that will be able to remain too, that the tree line will not be impacted. Most of what we'll be doing is screening as, you know, as the requirements of the code for a contractor's yard. So what we've done is grouped them in areas where we're trying to take advantage of the existing plantings on site
Right.
and then fill in where the gaps would be. And that's actually what Sean and Oren's report outlined as well. I'll be honest with you, when, at the end of the day, we may end up having to move a tree or put, you know, when the rubber hits the road and we get to see how this is, it's hard to visualize right now today. And if there was a comment that, you know, we had to move some things around, that would be accommodating. We'd accommodate that modification. And currently, right now, from National Avenue at where the sign, former sign was located, there's plenty of landscaping in that area from the eastbound direction. And also the elevational change kind of helps us as well.
Right.
And then also on the other side of, the east side of the development, there's a screening that was planted for probably the range, the golf range is still, does plenty of screening for us. But we'll see how it comes together. Yes,
Or you turn on your mic.
it's gonna go away.
your mic, Gary.
Yeah, whenever you speak, if you could turn on your microphone and speak. Thank you.
Right, you're gonna raise the existing building, but keep the little garage for now, but that might be
Yeah,
raised.
it seemed like an easy way to get some additional storage area along the way. Could be the contractor, the general contractor's job trailer.
When do you expect to be operational, if everything goes through
Well,
and everything?
the initial plan was to be completed with construction 1st of October. That's like our target. If everything falls in alignment, that's kind of the path. We're gonna try to be buttoned down before the end of before snow flies, you know, so that gives us a little wiggle room.
Do all your employees come to this property on a daily basis?
Any that'll be operating a truck out of this facility, yes, but we, as far as employees for the company, no, because we have other operations that operate in Madison and Green Bay, so those don't come to this. So anybody that works in the Milwaukee area, would, yes, they come out of this shop.
And the parking out in front, that's for employees?
Employees or drivers, but, you know, the amount of trucks that we'll have at this site is basically the amount of parking spaces we have inside the building. Our plan is that all of our trucks at night will be able to be parked in the building part of the reason for building a building this size is there's a lot of equipment on those trucks that if they're not taken care of properly, when it gets cold in the wintertime, freezing plays havoc on them. So we want to be able to keep them in a heated shop. So
Blacktop or cement?
It's a blacktop, but it's gonna be concrete, outside of the shop doors.
Ah,
So we'll have an apron.
Will you store any gasoline or any kind of hazardous type materials on the site?
You know, not outside of, you know, regular maintenance things. There will be some, grease for, you know, greasing the vehicles and some oil probably for topping, but most of that's a class 3B material, so it's not a highest hazard classification. And it would be limited. It's not a,
Will you be pumping your own fuel? No. Fire department would be glad to hear that.
our trucks can go to truck stops.
Oh, there you go.
What is the makeup of the existing trees around that dumpster area?
it's mostly, they're, pines and so forth, so it's not a deciduous.
Okay, well, that'll shield that dumpster
Right.
adequately.
Actually, the dumpster enclosure is the same location as it is now. There's actually, you and Doug asked me if we could pitch that and move it inside the gate. And that was after our submittal, so it may not make the end of the day.
Karen, who owns the property to the south? You know offhand?
Property,
Yeah.
my husband and I,
Oh, okay.
and we own it, we surround it.
You surround it. Yeah, on the west side, I didn't know it went behind that. Okay. Who's responsible for maintenance of that stub road? I take it that the village? We have to plow that?
We haven't been because John didn't really know, well, number one, the property's been vacant for so many years. When Paul Mindel owned it, Paul did, I don't think the trucks ever went there. John did go there with the snowplows and has no problem. You know, all he would do is push the snow, and if he could back into their parking lot, just to back, instead of making he has no, they went out there and played with the trucks. They have no problem plowing that stub road, and they just would make push it into where the road doesn't exist, and then back the trucks up if they had the permission from the property owners, and then pull back out. And I know the fire department does a lot of training there, and they bring their trucks. They've never burnt the building, but they've pretended, and they bring a lot of equipment when they're playing in the building. So, but we haven't gotten a letter yet from Alex yet, Mr. President.
Okay, I was just gonna ask that, did our DPW director submit anything in writing? Maybe now's the time to enter that into the record while it's come up. I know it was on my list.
So they have reviewed the plans already.
John and the DPW director, John Henneberry, and Alex Feldy were both sent the plans. Alex has been super, super swamped, and so is John. Didn't have any problem at all. His only concern was as long as he had permission when they're plowing that that stub is if they could, back the truck up into, because that is private property where they'd have to do a backup.
We have to get that in writing, or?
I don't know. It's something.
Yeah, let me first here read our DPW director John Henneberry's email. It's just a paragraph into the record here, so we're all clear, and then we should ask the petitioner to respond. This is John Henneberry, DPW director. I plowed off this area, and it appears that the curb and road surface are in pretty good shape. We could plow this section if necessary straight in off the dead end, but would require the ability to turn around. It seems to me that the proposed driveway parking lot would be sufficient for us to back into to turn around. I would need something in writing that states the village DPW equipment would be allowed to do this without being held accountable for any damage that may occur from doing so. If that is not an option, we should require a designated turnaround to be constructed for the village equipment to use. The storm drains appear to be in good shape, but hard to see with the snow cover, so less clear about the snow. So the concern from the Village of Vernon's DPW department standpoint is there is no cul-de-sac at the end of that road. It's just, you know, straight. So what he did, from what I understand from this email, is he just took a plow, put the plow down and plowed it straight ahead. I don't think your driveway in,
They connect.
yeah, they connect, but there'd be room enough, even with your driveway connecting, to push snow, so it wouldn't be blocking your driveway. And then, of course, now he's concerned, well, how do I get out of that?
Yeah.
There's no bulb there. I mean,
For him to turn around.
for turnaround, I mean, he could do a Y-turn, I guess, into your driveway, but, you know, we're not supposed to go on private property without permission,
Oh, okay.
right? And we don't. So we're stuck at the plan commission board level with, well, one thing we could require is some kind of turnaround to be built at your expense, or if he could back up, then we wouldn't have that, it seems to me, we wouldn't necessarily have to have that requirement. The property to the south, you know, that there's, Vernon owns the land to the property, all the way to the property to the south border.
This is all dedicated,
It's all.
but not built.
Dedicated but not built. And so Vernon owns that, so the property to the south, should it develop sometime in the future, because it's landlocked to the freeway further south, there's no other public roads, but I think the plan was to extend that road if and when that piece of property develops.
Right, because previous to Paul Mendel, these 2 acres were connected by a tiny little strip.
Oh, okay.
Tiny little strip. So when Paul developed the golf course, we purchased this so it wasn't a landlocked property.
Got it.
And then Paul Mendel, and this intersection that was required, that we shared that.
Okay.
When you say we, let's be, you know, unfortunately, Karen's the property owner, her and her husband own the property,
I'm aware of that still.
so when she says we, I gotta make sure, is it we, Karen and Wayne, or we, Vernon?
It's my husband and I and Paul Mendel and Mary Ann all had to share the expense of this intersection and the retainer wall. And
Is there a development plan to have that road extend further south for future development?
I mean, it wasn't built because obviously the need wasn't there, but it's all dedicated and has enough setbacks for, you know, the existing house and for a commercial road.
Well, we can review that with the buyer and see if we can come back with a response. Is that something we need to determine tonight at this hearing?
No, we can always, before approval, we can always adjourn this public hearing and bring it back next month for further information like this and delay approving.
Well, that seems like something that we could probably clarify under staff approval or staff review, meaning that I'm not the person that can make a decision to this decision. And it seems like a minor thing, but perhaps not being the legal owner or the future legal owner, I don't feel that I can speak upon it. I don't.
I suppose, Orrin, you could maybe chime in too. But I guess in my mind, what's going through my mind is, okay, we could make a condition upon, you know, owner providing our turnaround access, just like stated in the email. And then if that, as a condition of approval, and if your owner says, no, I don't want to do that, well, then he's going to have to come back in and change that condition, otherwise it's not approved. Right?
Right.
That's how we have to handle that. Or we just delay approval until next month and get it all straightened away on this particular point. I don't know if there's other points we might
Yeah.
skip over and have so much, but on this one, this is, you know, to me, a bigger deal for the village of Vernon because we've got to get our snow plowing truck in there and be able to turn around and, you know, it's got to either be turned around on a public street or we have to have permission.
Right.
And turning around on a public street would require some improvement, maybe not a lot, but there's some improvement. And I know you guys are gonna be in there redoing your parking lots and so on,
Well,
so.
the vehicles that the operation supports are probably heavier than your
Right,
plow
than the
equipment.
plow
So
truck,
it's not,
right.
it's not like a residential driveway.
Right.
So from a damage of, you know, maintenance and use, I don't see a concern with the asphalt and paving that's going to be applied. But I want to make sure that we kind of cover all the bases here with my client.
Yeah, well, I understand, you know, he's not here, so.
Yeah.
And we're not asking you for, necessarily for a decision, especially if you don't have authority to do it or want to further consider it.
I think it'd be low risk though, you know, as far as how to solve.
Yeah, considering the construction standards, and that was another one of my questions, I suppose, to Warren. And I know we did do some research that it was built to state specs. that little
Town,
Town specs at the time.
right,
Yeah, the road, the existing stub, the
right.
what's the pavement that's there was built to the specs. There would be some issues with the existing grade because it drops off to the west.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if there's a bulb that would be installed, it wouldn't necessarily be the easiest just because it's not completely level within that right of way.
But I don't know that we need necessarily a bulb to turn around a truck, a snowplow truck, a dump, you know, a snowplow truck. You could put some other type of turnaround in there, I think. Back in, go forward, back around.
It'd be tough with a,
Tougher with the dump truck.
yeah, it'd be,
Yeah.
Karen, do you have any timetable on developing that land in the back?
no. My son just plays on it with his cars.
I was just wondering if the extension of that road at this time would be the proper thing to do, or if that would help your situation and maybe it provide another driveway into your property.
Well, I think, you know, I'm trying to picture the grades as we go further south on that road and how it would connect with our development. You know, my biggest concern is to invest in something that we're gonna scrap in the future, especially, you know, from a paving standpoint. It doesn't meet the final plan. It's just not, feels like it's, not a good investment. So I'm sure we can probably solve this with a letter, but I just want to make sure that we present it to the ownership group.
Okay, questions from the board or plan commission? Otherwise, I'll have to at least announce public comments and
About this item?
get any other public comments that we might have. There is no public present to give comments. However, we did get some comments in writing, which,
And Mr. President, I just wanted to state for the record, Dr. Sean Halpin, who, he is up the road from the property. He did call and he was in full support of the proposal. And I did get another phone call from a real estate agent who said she lived in the area and was concerned about, she was under the impression that the property owners were bringing hazardous material back to the site. And those are the only, and I just wanted the Plan Commission to know also, even though we haven't formally adopted the ordinance, I did notify every property owner within 500 feet of this parcel, up above and beyond our normal 300. So, and then there's a letter from my
right,
husband.
and then we just got, and I will read this into the record, we just got a letter from, Mrs. Shu's husband, Wayne Shu, who's property owner that we've been talking about, the neighbor directly to the
North, west, yes, to the
and
west.
and the lot to the south,
Right.
in between the petitioner's project and the freeway. And he states, I wanted to state for the record that we do not have any objection to Doug Anderson's proposal to build hydro excavation on the property immediately adjacent to our property located on the corner of Evergreen and National Avenue. As you are aware, this area is planned for commercial development and is bordered by a county highway, and I-43 interstate is suited for business development. We feel having a successful business in Vernon as opposed to a vacant, unmaintained golf range would be an asset to the village. It is our hope the village approves the request for a conditional use permit on the property located at S74 W24255 National Avenue. Sincerely, Wayne Shu. So we'll enter that into the record as well, which is always helpful that, you know, the neighbors
Don't oppose.
don't oppose. Questions?
This is a pretty good-looking building, by the way. So I don't have many issues with it. A lot of times we deal with aesthetics, you know, so you, especially the additional screening. That stub road, though, does look like the only real issue from my standpoint. And I hate to see any addition to that stub road at this, you know, especially at this time, when whatever you end up doing there, you're gonna end up ripping out when we do extend that road. I would think, you know, like putting a bulb in there, we'd have to rip that whole thing out anyhow. So if there's a way to be able to just back, you know, he'd plow past their access driveway anyhow, and then he could potentially do a wide by backing into a portion of their driveway. And if we made that a condition on this permit, I wouldn't have a problem.
I just wanted to chime in that I think condition 6A within the staff review addresses that it reads, the conditional use and site plan / plan of operation shall not be in full force and effect until such time as the petitioner obtains the necessary approvals and satisfies all comments, conditions, and concerns of the, under A, Village of Vernon Department of Public Works Director and Fire Chief for any required improvement of the stub road connecting to National Avenue. So, you know, we have written correspondence from the Public Works Director, so that until such time as he grants an approval, essentially,
Well,
regarding the arrangement for the
not,
plowing.
not to interrupt, but Matt went and took a call with the owner or the potential buyer, which is my client, and he said it was all right to do that. So we'll put together a letter. I didn't want to interrupt. He came in and
No, that's good. So I think item 6A addresses this. We don't necessarily have to add an additional condition. That can be worked out in the background, and then once something in writing can be exchanged between the owner and the Director of Public Works, then essentially that condition will be satisfied.
Okay.
And we'll have to get that letter with legal review on it to make
Right.
sure that
Sure.
we're covered, as your lawyer would have to look at it too.
Everyone else would.
Right.
And I just also wanted to point out to the concern from the area real estate agent, item 1, condition 1A rather, states no disposal of debris from hydro excavation / hydrovac trucks is permitted on site. And again, the proposal is for that to be handled off-site at arranged locations.
So I don't know if everyone understands what the process is of what they do. It's when you get into very intense and complicated areas of underground utilities, you can't go at it with a backhoe because you have to surgically remove the earth around it. So what they do is they use high pressure water, and then they use a back truck, which is the trucks, and they just take all that out and expose the pipes and so forth. So ideally, not to say that there couldn't ever be something that was in the ground, ideally, all that would be exposed would be backfill to piping and other products, that were already in the ground. It's not,
Right, relatively
waste
clean
removal
fill,
company.
not dirty
yeah,
land.
it should be clean.
But in any event,
Yeah.
clean or dirty, there's just no disposal of the debris. Period. And your trucks are gonna leave in the morning, like you said, come back every night and park inside. They're not gonna be, these are not trucks that are out on job sites for weeks on end. They come back every
No,
night.
they're back every night.
So there will be traffic, just so everybody's well aware, there will be traffic in the morning. Cars coming in, employees coming in, trucks leaving, and vice versa in the evening.
But the traffic is very sporadic. It's not like, it won't be a concentrated flow of 10 trucks in an hour and 10 trucks in an hour. Depending on the job site they're going to, they leave at different times during the morning, and they'll come back at different times during the day.
And you mentioned you had operations in Madison and Green Bay, so you're looking, out of this site, you'd be looking at servicing southeast Wisconsin, I suppose.
Southeast Wisconsin, maybe northern Illinois.
Right. Any further questions? Should we go through the conditions and make sure we got them all that we? And I know we skipped through them. Well, two things. First of all, we do have our matrix. You've probably seen it with our conditional use criteria. And in order to grant a conditional use for a contractor's yard, we need to have substantial evidence of each of those conditions. And I think either through our planner report, which you've confirmed to be accurate, or the things that you said, you probably have met most of them. But during the public hearing is the time that you need to make sure that you have met each and every one of them, because once we close our public hearing and go to discussion, if we get stuck, we can't now reopen the public hearing. So if you would, it would be helpful if we ran through those so that we were ready for our discussion to make sure that we were good with Oren here. And then I would like to make sure that the board and the planning commission is good with all the conditions during the public hearing, so we can take testimony and change them if we need to. I mean, they're pretty comprehensive. So, Oren, you want to walk us through and make sure that we meet these? I mean, the first one is minimum lot. I think your report takes care of that one. But
Yeah, gladly. So, contractor's yard is an allowable conditional use in the I-1 district, subject to the following conditions. A, the minimum lot area shall be at least 5 acres, except in the I-1 district where the minimum lot area shall be at least 3 acres. We've got a 16.71 acre lot, so that would be, is the condition / requirement applicable? Is there concurrence amongst the commission that is yes?
yes, I would say all of these would probably be yes. And so we're looking at whether we have substantial evidence. And if there's any evidence to the contrary, I don't think we have evidence to the contrary on any of them. So we'll try to shortcut it, and then during discussion, we'll hit D, that they've all been met. But I just want to make sure that there, during the public hearing, there has been substantial evidence entered, and I think on that one, there is, because your lot size is 16.7 acres, so it's greater than 3. And I think the next one you do talk about in your lot, the proposal in 3B, you meet the minimum 100 feet right away, and you've given us drawings that provide the 100-foot I said right away, that's wrong, setback.
Setback.
So I think we're good there. You do have access to National Avenue through our stub road. Let me just see. As shown on the plan, so I think we're good there. The planting screening. The board and the plan commission satisfied as proposed. We did go through Warren went through the planting. On his report, you've gone through it during the public comments. We know where the big overhead doors are. We know which way they face. You know, in the past, on other contractors' yards, we're concerned about whether you can see those big overhead doors or not. We kind of like to see some plantings on the outside of the fence, so we're not seeing the fence, breaking up that fence line, and screening those big doors. Are we good on that, Dan and Jamie? Board?
The only area that is hard to tell is on the east side of the property,
Right.
on that side of the fencing, because it kind of looks like it's open out to the highway, and then you'd be looking at the doors themselves on that east side, and I think there's like 8 large doors on that side. I don't know what, how wooded that is.
So the wooded part is on the farthest eastern side, but you can see that on the landscape plan that there's groupings of plantings being proposed on the outside of the fenced yard area to try to address that, to try to soften the view from the right of way to that exposure of the development. So you've got groupings of evergreens.
Yeah. So we address groups of 3 coming along the corner, leaning on the existing plantings there, and then heading south along the eastern side of the chain link fence. As you get further south, I think we're getting far enough away from the road, and we'd be screening the fenced in area. If it's, I think that most of the topography will remain in the area outside of the fence zone because we're not going to be disrupting it. So anything along the berm along National Avenue will remain. Yeah, that will. Yeah.
Right, that would help. And then the existing trees and vegetation between, you know, the south to the freeway, you're pretty well screened off the freeway. So you know, because I was looking at that fence line and thinking of the property to the south, but it's further east, and then you're not even going to see it from the freeway, really.
You can see the building that's under construction right now from the interstate, but it's just a blip. You know, when you need to be looking for it as well.
And yeah, you do have groupings there. It creates a little gap headed east, but if people are satisfied, you know, the trees will get bigger and break up the fence. And they are outside the fence.
They're outside the fence.
Yeah. And the future, if and when the future building is built, that's going to be inside the fence, and it's going to fit in there too and cover the big doors and also be screened because it's inside the fence.
Correct.
Okay, compatible land uses, I think, Warren, you went through, I think, the land uses surrounding the area for us to make a determination.
I kind of grazed over it, but we can go over it now. So the property zoning and land use adjacent to the proposed contractor's yard to the north, there's RRD5, Shoreland and Floodplain. That's the West Dallas Training Kennel Club, planned for recreational. To the east, B3 General Business District. Big Bend, used for agriculture, planned for commercial. To the south, A5, used as vacant land, planned for commercial, and Interstate 43. South of that. West, A3/A5, used as single-family residential, planned for commercial. So again, this
And
is
we have a letter,
surrounded essentially by commercial and to the north, a planned recreational use.
right, and we do have a letter from the property owner to the west, which I
Correct.
read. Okay. Questions on that? We're good? Okay, continuing on. Okay, the next one is the conditional use approval, the plan of operation and so on. I think your report, Sean, covers it, the number of employees, what they're doing. The outside storage, is limited to corrugated pipe on racking on the south side of the building. That's a condition, right, Warren?
Correct.
And hours of operations, the condition, the number of employees, the number of vehicles, how many vehicles, they're parked indoors at night, all conditions. So I would say that is all gonna be met by the conditions that we should, if we do approve it subject to those conditions as outlined. And the petitioners have indicated that they're in agreement with all the conditions as stated.
Did we really have 5 AM?
5 is what's proposed.
5,
Yep.
is that too early? Or we should talk about it if it's,
I mean, it
Really?
just struck me as being earlier than what we've done in the past with other places. But
Well, usually that's residential areas,
yeah, well, they have one resident to the, yeah, as a matter of fact, east.
Yeah, but if you'd listen to the freeway traffic, nothing. This is nothing, no offense, but you hear the semis going up and down
Usually, 5 AM probably covers if there's a drive involved with the project that they're going to, that might not be every day's operations.
it's a really noisy area, Jim. With the freeway there.
The 5 AM is not a consistent thing, that's,
Okay.
okay, any other questions on the time? And 10 o'clock at night too is pretty late to hear trucks come back, but I assume also that's going to be an exception rather than the rule. I mean, it's gonna perhaps be more in the summertime when it gets,
correct,
when it stays light to 8, 9 o'clock at night, you'd be coming home a little later, but
yes.
nowadays the sun's down, it's 4:30 and you're probably not in somebody's ditch at 4:30.
That's correct.
So the hour's okay?
Yes.
Okay, number 2 is also conditional use, site plan and plan of operation, that's gonna be a condition. Orin, I do believe that we're gonna be okay there.
Yep. Essentially stating that the approval is subject to the documents presented this evening to the commission, except as further restricted or modified herein, and that the future building will require separate approval at such time as it's brought forward.
Okay. And we have our standard, all comments and conditions, I think we just went through one of, plan, engineer, village planner, site plan, grading plan, landscape plan, lighting plan, all of that, I think, is going to be covered. Fire, 6A. Right, 6A is DPW fire, 6B is Waukesha County stormwater, 6C is your private on-site septic water system. The next one, 4, is the chain link fencing. Okay, everybody okay with the fencing 8 foot high? Landscaping again, we had 10-foot trees, so they're above the minimum planting height of 10 feet at initial planting. The shade trees, the white oaks, caliber 2 inches diameter, they're pretty good trees. So off the start. Any questions on the landscaping? I think we went through that. Obviously, it's going to be subject to ownership. I mean, I assume you have it under contract to buy and you're going to close on it as soon as you get your conditional use approval. Or this conditional use approval is one of the conditions for you to close. There you go. Okay, there's 6. I just read 6.
Yeah, again, President Fortner, 6 covers the discussion we had regarding the stub. 6A states that the Village of Vernon Department of Public Works shall provide any necessary approvals regarding improvements to the stub road. So essentially, if an agreement is made that that's not needed and that the Y-turn that was discussed by the commission can take place, that would satisfy that condition.
Right, and if that can't, then our DPW says no, it hasn't met our approvals, and we'll have to come back to the drawing board. But I
Right.
assume that it's going to.
Right.
And we had some confirmation that it would. Verbally, anyway, right?
So are all of the commissioners amenable to that?
Yeah, we got a consensus on that. I think it'll keep our DPW director happy, so.
It's important.
The snow's gotta be pushed somewhere. The truck's
get
gotta
it.
turn around. You know, with the golf center there, we never plowed that road,
Yeah,
you know?
and I was gonna suggest, they're gonna plow their own lot, but you can't have someone privately plow, so, yeah, you can't do that option, so, yeah, I get it.
What else? So I don't know that we've added an additional condition to what has been presented, Warren, have you?
Not yet.
Commissioners, board members? Any questions for the petitioner? Otherwise, I'm getting close to closing the public hearing. Commissioner Nowak?
On page 4, it seems like Sean had a concern about the finished materials that do not wrap around the west elevation for 25 feet. Has that been addressed?
Essentially, that's just being pointed out that the letter of the law, as you might say, isn't being met in that specific instance. The commission should decide if the architecture is adequate as presented. In spite of that. Again,
Our
there's no
approach was
issue.
to continue on the primary frontage, which is really what's up on the TV screen right now. In the rendering, where the window comes around the corner, we continue that to be an architectural treatment with a different type of metal panel between the window openings and keeping the burnish block base. We keep the interest of that consistency of the materials in the front of the building around the corner on that facade. Because that is the front entrance facade, essentially. And we do have a masonry corner that wraps the entire corner. You can see behind the two white cutout people. That's a burnish block that goes all the way to the roof plane. So we are treating that as a prominent corner, marking the entrance of the building and the primary focus of the building. So that's how we treated it. That entry is a significant portion of the building.
Now, do we have a picture of what Sean's report, Orin, is referring to, the do not wrap around the west elevation for at least 25 feet? What is he referring to? on these-
I'm guessing that the materials just stop at where the fence line is, and that's not quite 25 feet.
The
Is that
fence
the-
line is beyond 25 feet, because I think the fence line is gonna be close to 50 feet from inside the front face of the building. But if you flip through the renderings here, we should see all sides of the building. So there's the front entrance corner, and then, yeah. And then, so that one's a little bit harder to see, and I recognize that could be a little bit difficult. It's similar to the east elevation. It's a little bit different because we don't have the block, the masonry product in the corner all the way to the roof line. We just continue the wainscot around the corner, coming off the east. Go up one more. Oh, that's the last one. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's the east facade of the building, but you don't see the front corner of that. If you go to the 2D elevations, so if you scroll up, please. Keep going. Yep, one more. So that is the flat elevations. So the elevation that is on the top, you can see where the windows are on the right-hand side. That is the office portion, so that's still the front of the building. And then as we get to the shop area where you see the service door, the man door there, that's pretty much where the shop starts there, right above our cursor. So then we reduce the materials when you get to the shop area. So it's the vertical metal panel at that spot. We are treating the office area facades as a higher level, obviously.
You don't expect very many in-person customers, do you? Just mostly office, the office help, the overhead work in there, yeah.
What color is that roof?
It's going to be a pre-factory finish. We haven't selected the color. Right now, I think it's probably like a galvanized color on the renderings, which look blue once it came out of the printer.
Oh, okay.
But it's going to be a metal roof.
Yeah. Kind of a natural tone, though, or is it?
It can have. We haven't gone through the color charts, but it will be a pre-finished color probably. Probably a lighter color because we don't want the heat gain.
Trustee Wilder, you have?
Yeah, and all this paperwork and everything, I haven't seen anything regarding signage. Is there any proposed signage for the property or?
One of the conditions is that that would have to take place at such time as that's brought forward, so.
Okay, well, it's not included with this right now.
Right, so the condition states that a sign permit would be required.
Okay.
So at this time, there's no, we talked about it last week, I think we touched on it briefly. There's no desire for building mounted signage. There is a spot from the former sign from the golf center, and if we proceed with a sign, it would be at that location, which is a kind of a monument sign. There's some power out there, I think, for some lighting.
Okay.
And that would, and you're right, that would be a separate application.
Okay. Thank you.
With during the construction taking place and the type of business that you're in, you should see where do you plan to park your vehicles in the interim until this is done?
At the location we're at now. So we're renting a building in New Borough.
And when do you plan to move that equipment from point A to here?
When the building's finished, when we're ready to move in.
So other construction things, you won't have any confidence.
No.
Well, the big concern always is unkept yards and too many vehicles, and we like the fact, at least I like the fact that vehicles are in overnight, and they're expensive vehicles, and people with expensive vehicles take care of them, and so, and we do have a list, and we do have, limits, So I like that, part of it. Plus, it is a condition to keep it neat and orderly and well-maintained, so, correct. Dan, do you have any?
Did anybody know what condition that existing garage is in?
It's been broken into plenty of times. The door that's facing north is damaged, so it had to be cleaned up, but it seemed to be stable. That's what,
Should we have some condition, Carl, that be fixed up or improved if it's gonna remain in place?
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. It seems to me it'd probably be amenable, because you're gonna do it, be amenable either to raise it or to
Refurbish?
make it, yeah. I don't know how to word that, Orin, but to make it, or to maintain it and I suppose if it needs fixing or repair, I guess it would be.
Can we get something to that effect in the conditions? Would that be number 14? There were 12 of them, huh?
There's 14 total, so if
14?
something's,
Be
if
number
something's,
15?
yep.
Yeah, I was just looking to see if Sean had any comments on it at all.
I don't believe so.
I don't think we're
Given-
opposed to
I think the,
keeping it there, but we don't want a junked building there, I guess. This
Yeah,
would be
and
the
I
time to
think-
take care of it.
I think you guys are pretty indifferent about the structure.
Yeah, we really don't have a use, probably likely would not have a use for it. So it's just a matter of, once we get to the building, do we really need it or not?
So you're considering tearing it down anyway?
Yes.
So either remove or refurbish it, right? Or
Do
maintain
you
it?
have any objection to a condition
That
that would
sounds
either
like
require,
very reasonable.
removing it or refurbishing it or repair it into, I don't know what kind of good condition, or is there some words, Orin, that we could put in there that would, you know, I suppose that could be a staff decision.
Fight the raccoons.
Yeah.
They're gonna be disappointed.
After construction is completed,
right.
Be a good place to store equipment while they're building.
The challenge is if the wording is in good condition, that could be a vague statement that would be hard to either meet or enforce. So,
Building inspector,
If they're gonna put anything of any value into it, they're gonna have to fix the door.
right?
oh, we know that.
Right? I mean, it's outside your fence, which is not necessarily the best location for it if you wanted to keep it.
but
But you'd have to fix the door anyhow if you were gonna put anything in it.
Yeah, I'm not proposing to put in so vague standards that they can't be, you know, met, or what reasonable people know what they mean. So I'm looking over to Warren to see if he's got any thoughts about how that could be written, if that's the way we want to go, as opposed to saying nothing,
well, I think
which would mean our building inspector, if it's falling, I mean, our building inspector, if it's falling apart, could order it raised.
I think if you can put it on the building inspector to, you know, to have it labeled as some level of fitness, that would be a reasonable condition.
Yeah, essentially, since it's an existing structure, so condition 14A is saying that nothing in this order shall be deemed to authorize any public or private nuisance. So if the inspection department determines that the condition of the building renders it a nuisance, then they could follow through with their normal enforcement proceedings, and that could entail a possible remedy or possibly raising the building.
Right.
And so essentially, I think 14A
Covers
of
it.
the
We could-
other conditions,
Yeah, right.
the standard language can cover that scenario.
Right, 14A would cover that. Right, if it's in that kind of condition, I think the question is that acceptable, or now would be the time if it wasn't acceptable, if we wanted to have it, you know, if we knew about, you know, I don't,
Yeah, I think if you wanted to have a
We
more
could-
specific scenario and a specific time frame to include in the condition, I would, you know, if you're gonna add a condition,
Pretty much that.
I would have a specific time frame involved as well.
right, so, you know, within 6 months after occupancy or something of the primary building or something like that,
Right.
for, as an example, as a
Yep.
reasonable
That would be
example.
reasonable.
Put that under H, under 14?
You're suggesting adding H?
What's that?
You're suggesting an H?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Orin, how would we do that? I know that we've got, I mean, what you've read in 14A is certainly true.
It doesn't really address that building, though.
Right. Right, that was my point, that,
Let me ask you a question. If, would it be in your best interest just to tear it down now? I mean, as soon as you start? Or would it just be that,
It could be that simple.
That bad of a building. I mean, boy, if you see some other structures in Vernon, this is a palace compared to, I mean, it's not beat up or, you know, the door is kicked in, but.
Yeah, I mean, it
It's
could
not-
be easily, you know, as a temporary thing for a construction purpose.
Right.
It could be it could be valuable. I don't wanna, the general contractor was going to be here tonight, but he fell ill this afternoon, so we told him
Thank
to
God.
stay home.
no, that's, we encourage everybody to stay home if they're sick.
He would have been able to speak a little bit further on his vision of that, its usefulness, but,
So how would we word that, though? You know, the timing is fine. I mean,
In those
you know,
conditions.
6 months after occupancy, you know, so you could use it during construction.
Or just add a.
Why would it take 6 months?
no, right.
Just to give them opportunity to use it and then raise it, you know, after they're done with construction.
I mean, have you been past it? Do you feel it's unsightly now?
No.
I don't think most people can see it, to be honest.
That far back, yeah.
Well,
Used to
I
be
think
able
that's the initial probably reason why it wasn't addressed by Sean, is that it's so far back.
You can't even see it, and it's so hidden
What?
from.
It's an accessory structure, so it's not the primary piece of this conversation
Right.
in its existence, so.
And it's not bad, it's just, it attracts young boys.
Well, if it were enclosed and locked up, it probably wouldn't be a problem.
Right, right.
But
Well, as soon as you guys
Secured.
site, it's going to, the
Change.
vandalism and so on is gonna go way down.
yeah, it's gonna end pretty
Yeah.
fast once everything starts disappearing.
Right.
All the fun things to vandalize, there's nothing to come over.
No.
So is there a consensus to add something, or? can
I
we-
would like to add something under letter H, yeah, that the existing two-car garage structure either be removed or refurbished within 6 months of occupancy.
That's, is that okay? I mean,
Yeah,
that's,
I think that's fine. I mean, I would change the language from two-car garage to accessory structure.
Okay?
right.
Because I don't think it's really a garage. I don't know, I can't remember how it's structured.
No,
Not to be too,
Did it have a garage door?
I don't know, does it?
it's
have
got,
that?
yeah,
It does,
it's got
okay.
both.
I thought I heard somebody say
No, I know I had double doors on the one side
Two-car
that were
garage.
kicked in, that's what I like, and
Okay.
I was gonna go in, but then I realized I didn't wanna get attacked by raccoons, so I just decided that
So how do you want to word that, Dan?
We
Current
could add a
current
letter H.
accessory building be,
I would recommend adding a number 15 instead of an H. I think the 14 A through G items are all kind of boilerplate conditions
okay,
that are added onto all approvals. So I would just add a 15 and then whatever motion you want to make.
That's fine.
Okay.
So it'd be something like raise or refurbish the accessory structure within 6 months after occupancy of the primary building or something. Where's the effect, Warren? Is that acceptable to the petitioners? I hear not.
Yes.
I see nodding.
Well, you got good hearing.
I hear
Can't
nodding.
record a nod.
Ah, getting ready for turkey hunt. Any other issues, concerns, questions? Anybody need a site review? I'm hoping not to see this garage, so. And so now I will go around the room before I close the public hearing, because I think I've gotten into the habit and it seems to work. We'll go around the room and make sure everybody has their questions, concerns issued, addressed before we close the hearing. We'll start with trustee Dashik.
I'm satisfied, no concerns.
Trustee and Commissioner Mahalik.
Just occurred to me as we're talking about this, refurbish or demo within 6 months of what date? Of
Occupancy, so
Main,
probably,
main building occupancy.
it'd be like May of 2022.
That's right. So it's something for him. Okay. Thank you. I have nothing.
Trustee Wiley.
I have, all my questions were answered. I'm satisfied.
Trustee Commissioner Swanee.
I have nothing further. Like I said, I thought it was a good-looking building in the first place.
Dan?
I have no further concerns. I think it was a very thorough presentation though and submittal.
Jamie?
I
Satisfied.
wish I could read the landscape plan, but
I didn't realize I had one.
Jamie?
I'm satisfied.
Satisfied, good. Anything else that you would like to add? Planner, would you like to add anything? Okay, so we will, pardon me? No, you're good? We'll close the public hearing and go to item 6, which is our discussion of what we just heard, and ask for plan commission action, and then, which is a recommendation to the village board, and then the village board action, if we're ready to decide. So with that, I'll close the public hearing, and it's 8:30. Anybody need a break before we go to the next step here? No? No? Okay, let's keep going then. 6, discussion and possible action to obtain a conditional use permit and site plan of operation in accordance with the zoning ordinance for the contractor's yard to accommodate a business that stores equipment on property owned by Doug Anderson Hydro Excavators 2 LLC. Plan commission action, I know both Orrin, you have listed our conditions. We added condition 15 as discussed, and the petitioners agreed to that. So, I think we're set on the conditions. I suppose formally we ought to quickly go through the decision matrix and make sure we sign off on it. I think we have, but it's always worthwhile, going through it. I know Sean always walks us through it one more time.
Sure.
So if you could do that,
I will.
I get a drink of water, I've been talking too much.
So, condition A, minimum lot area shall be at least 5 acres, except in the I-1, where the minimum lot area shall be at least 3 acres. Is the conditions as requirement applicable? Is there consensus that that's yes? From the members here?
Yeah. Yes.
Has the applicant provided substantial evidence?
Yes.
Yes.
Has substantial evidence to the contrary been provided? No, it has not. Is the condition / requirement met?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. B, all buildings used in the conduct of the business shall be located at least 100 feet from the lot line of the adjoining lot in residential district, or at least 50 feet from the lot line and adjoining lot of any other district. Is the condition requirement applicable? Yes.
Yes.
Is there consensus to that? Is the applicant provided substantial evidence?
Yes.
Yes. Has the substantial evidence to the contrary been provided? It has not.
No.
Nope.
Is condition / requirement met?
Yes.
C, no such use shall be allowed on any parcel except as may front directly upon, have access to an arterial or major collector street as defined in this code. Is the condition requirement applicable? Is there consensus that that's yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Has the applicant provided substantial evidence?
Yes. No, wait.
Has substantial evidence to the contrary been provided? It has not. And is their condition / requirement met?
Yes.
Yes.
The planting shall be provided between any budding property line and the proposed use. Is the condition requirement applicable? Yes. Has the applicant provided substantial evidence?
Yes.
Yes.
Has substantial evidence to the contrary been provided? It has not. Is the condition/requirement met?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, okay. E. In determining whether or not the proposed conditional use should be approved, the village board, upon receipt of a recommendation from the plan commission, shall make a determination that the proposed conditional use is compatible with adjacent land uses. If it is determined the proposed conditional use would in any way be incompatible with the adjacent land uses or represent an adverse effect or nuisance to adjacent land uses, the proposed conditional use shall not be approved. Is this condition requirement applicable?
Yes.
Yes.
Has the applicant provided substantial evidence?
Yes.
Has substantial evidence to the contrary been provided?
No.
And so the condition requirement that the use is compatible with adjacent land uses is met?
Yes.
All right, moving on. The conditional use approval is limited to Doug Anderson, DBA Hydro Excavators 2 LLC, for the subject property. Use of the property by any other entity for any purpose is not permitted. The approval shall reflect the plan of operation, and there's conditions relating to the plan of operation. So is this condition requirement applicable?
Yes.
Has the applicant provided substantial evidence?
Yes.
Has substantial evidence to the contrary been provided?
No.
No. Is the condition/requirement met?
Yes.
Very good. Conditional use and site plan of operation approval is subject to the petitioner complying at all times with the plans and documents presented to the Village of Vernon Plan Commission on January 13th, 2021, except as further restricted or modified herein. Future buildings and parking shown on the site plans are not included in this approval and will require a site plan of operation amendment, may require a conditional use amendment. Is condition/requirement applicable?
Yes.
Has applicant provided substantial evidence?
Yes.
Has substantial evidence to the contrary been provided?
No.
Has not. Is condition/requirement met?
Yes.
Petitioner shall satisfy all comments, conditions, and concerns of the Village of Vernon Plan Commission and Board, village engineer, village planner for the site plan, grading plan, landscape plan, lighting plan, architectural drawings, and other documentation. Is the condition/requirement applicable?
Yes.
Has applicant provided substantial evidence?
Yes.
Has substantial evidence to the contrary been provided?
No.
Is the condition/requirement met?
Yes.
All right. Number 4, the petitioner shall install and maintain an 8-foot-high vinyl-coated chain-link fence surrounding the contractor's yard. Landscaping as shown on the approved plan shall be a mix of Black Hill spruce, white pine with a minimum planting height of 10 feet at initial planting, and swamp white oak with a minimum caliper of 2 inches upon planting. Is the condition/requirement applicable?
Yes.
Has the applicant provided substantial evidence?
Yes.
Has substantial evidence to the contrary been provided?
No.
Is the condition/requirement met?
Yes.
Number 5, the conditional use and site plan of operation approval shall not be in full force and effect until Hydro Excavators 2 LLC has ownership of the property. Is that condition requirement applicable?
Yes.
Has the applicant provided substantial evidence?
Yes.
Has substantial evidence to the contrary been provided?
No.
Is the condition requirement met?
Yes.
Number 6, the conditional use and site plan of operation approval shall not be in full force and effect until such time as the petitioner obtains the necessary approvals and satisfies all comments and conditions and concerns of the Village of Vernon Department of Public Works Director and Fire Chief for any improvement of the stub road connecting to National Avenue. B, Waukesha County Department of Land Resources for the stormwater management plan and maintenance agreement, erosion control, and any required easements. C, Waukesha County Department of Parks and Land Use, Environmental Health Division for the private on-site wastewater system. Is the condition requirement applicable?
Yes.
Has the applicant provided substantial evidence?
Yes.
Has substantial evidence to the contrary been provided?
No.
Is the condition requirement?
Yes.
I'd like to bundle these next 3 for all of our sakes, if we could. These are standard boilerplate conditions, not specifically from, not specific to this particular conditional use, but rather applied to conditional uses in general. So number 7, 8, and 9, are these condition requirements applicable?
Yes.
Yes.
Has evidence provided, has the applicant provided substantial evidence?
Yes.
And has the evidence to the contrary been provided?
No.
If not, is the condition/requirement met?
Yes.
All right. And finally, just for the record, I have checked the box under item A that the conditions stated with the conditional use order shall be modified in the manner described in the Village of Vernon's discussion to include condition 15 that was added as read into the record previously.
Right, so we're looking, we're so inclined, this would be Plan Commission, a motion to recommend to the Village Board approval of the conditional use for Doug Anderson doing business as Hydro Excavators 2 LLC as presented by the Village of Vernon planner and as agreed to by the applicant with the conditions stated modified, right, as described in our discussion, Village of Vernon's discussion.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Discussion by the Plan Commission.
I agree with that. Do we have reference point 15?
Yes.
Yeah, we did.
Yep. But if you guys would like, I can read it. Okay.
Yeah, it's part of it.
But usually you make a motion to that effect to combine them.
Oh, yeah. Right. I was going after the, or looking at the motion as drafted. I think that
Right.
is correct. It would be, we might need a friendly amendment for that. To approve, if we could have a friendly amendment to approve the conditional use and site plan of operation.
And site plan / plan of operation.
Yeah, right. That's right. Nope,
Well-
you didn't make the motion, Mr. Dan.
Dan.
Mr. Dan,
I'll keep that motion as amended.
as friendly amended.
Second.
Friendly second. Okay, we have a friendly amendment to the motion on the floor at the Plan Commission level. Okay, do we need that read back or any further discussion?
Read it.
All in favor, Plan Commission?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Now we'll go to the Village Board. Village Board members, you've been here at the public hearing, you've heard all the testimony, you've heard the analysis of the conditional use permit, the matrix, and that we all concurred with that during that discussion between the board and the Plan Commission. So we're looking for the Village Board to have a motion to concur with the recommendation of the Vernon Plan Commission. To approve and let's recite the motion with, the new condition 15 and the friendly amendment with this site plan of operations. So do we have enough of a motion there?
I got it. I got
Get it?
exactly how they said it.
Okay. Discussion by the board. Okay, hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Yay!
Thank you. We appreciate
Thank
you
you.
taking the
Good
time.
luck.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Look forward to
Nice.
having a nice addition to the community.
Yep.
Yeah, it's good.
Very nice.
Hope all goes well during construction
Thank you.
And your closing.
and your closing. Always a fun time.
Not worried about that one.
One step at a time.
Good night, gentlemen.
Good night, thanks for coming. Stay safe, drive safely, watch out for deer.
You as well.
Okay, let's keep going. There's no need for a break. Minutes, I would like to table the December 9th Village Board and Plan Commission meeting because that was the meeting where we approved the ordinances and the conditional use ordinance changes, and we added
Provision.
greenhouses, and Karen and I talked about maybe
Just going over it.
just going over it and making sure the minutes accurately reflect adding that, and so we didn't have an opportunity to do that this afternoon. So if we could table that to the next meeting,
Yeah,
we need a motion, or we just do it by
by consensus is
by
fine.
consensus?
That's-
Everybody's nodding their heads yes.
Okay.
So we do have a consensus to table that. Items B is December 10th, Village Board and Plan Commission meeting. So that was one of our trainings. And so if we could get a motion to approve. Okay, Plan Commission. We'll go Plan Commission first. So Commissioner Mahalik made that motion. Is there a second by?
Second.
Is
Jamie?
Jamie, all in, Plan Commission, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Town Board or Porter, Village Board.
I'll make a motion to approve,
December 10th. Is
December 10th.
there a second by a board member?
I'll second it.
Second for Gary. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. December 17th, Plan Commission. I'll make a motion to approve December 17th, Plan Commission minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
Oh, come on, guys.
Everybody else wants it. You got it.
I got Dan.
Okay. Plan Commission, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Village Board,
Make a motion to approve December 17th.
is there a second?
I'll second it.
There we go. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Plan Commission,
Who wants to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn. All in favor, Plan Commission?
Aye.
Aye.
Make a motion to adjourn the Village Board.
Order.
I think we gotta raise the price on that.
How much money is in this pot?
About 280.
That's 280 quarters.
Was there a second?
Is there a second? Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned. Commission, adjourned.
Paying attention.
Thank you, Warren.
Village Board, thank you, Warden.
Did a great job.
Nice meeting you, Warren.
Yeah. Quite an accomplishment.
No, it was not. It was not.
I've heard from Shelley.
Oh, yeah,
Thanks
we
again.
gotta do something about our kid too. I got some, let's make sure we're all.
Warren, did you,